Yes, folks, it's Thursday. I'm Fred McMurray. It's 2 p.m. Pacific, which means this has to be... Whoa, we got some feedback there. There it goes. Wow. Whoa, we got some feedback there. Hopefully that clears. There we go, I think. Wow. Whoa, we got some feedback there. Nope, still got it coming in from somewhere. There we go, I think. Wow. Nope, still got it coming in from somewhere. There we go. I think. Wow. Nope. Okay, try it now. Okay, that looks good. Did you say something?
I did, and you know what happened? I'm laughing, carrying on over here, cracking myself up, and I was on mute the whole time.
Okay, good, because
yeah, I was totally making fun of you too. Sorry you missed it.
So am I. We got more complicated today. We, in theory, are streaming live to our Shoutcast server, and if everything looks correctly from what I can tell over here, we're actually beaming out to LinkedIn for the first time, and Trovo for the first time, and a whole buttload of other places, and yeah, that's interesting.
Life is good.
Life is good. So how are we doing this week?
I'm doing great. How about you? You can hear me now, right?
I can hear you now, and for me, the week has been focused on improving the technological back end, even though you probably couldn't tell it from the weird beginning start. But hey, you learn, we grow, we get wider and wider.
Yeah. Well, the first part was really my fault too, because I had you on mute as I talked to you. So if that gave you any heart attack at all, it was just me playing an April Fool's joke here in July.
Yeah, so, well, what can I say? So what's been new in franchising?
Holy smokes. We have had so much stuff going on this past week. I had a great conversation with one of our clients who's looking to franchise her business. I think I talked to you about that last week, told you that we were working on helping her turn her fairly new business into a franchise. You know, we've got a couple more people that are looking to do that with us. We are moving forward on some exciting behind the scenes stuff that I don't feel at liberty to share just yet. But it's going to be really exciting and make our whole process of helping people out there find the right franchise for them much easier, much quicker. Excellent tools and things available. So I think that's going to be really great. And David and I will both be joining in on that venture and looking to deliver some really good stuff here very soon to our group here. And what else can I tell you? Well, go ahead.
I really like this, you know, helping franchisors, as Red would say, helping franchisors, helping Zors grow.
Zors.
Helping them become Zors is really the game right now. So people who are out there, and there's certainly probably plenty of them, who, just like our guest that we're going to talk to coming up, had a business model, realized how good it was and the potential that a solid business has in joining a franchise or becoming a franchisor. It's really a great way to create a legacy and some income beyond just one or two locations that you might have for yourself. So it's very interesting. I'm looking forward to talking to both of our guests about that today as well. So
Yeah, we won't
Ray's
talk
not
about
with
that.
us today, right? We know
No.
that Ray is out in the bus. He's in the Beast, somewhere in the wild blue yonder with no Wi-Fi.
Think about that. No Wi-Fi whatsoever. That just seems,
Yeah.
I don't know, kind of wrong, doesn't it? It seems like so
You know,
last century.
yeah, but I read this book called In Praise of Slowness, and it really makes you think about going back to last century and how much less complicated life would be. So let's get started.
All right, let's bring our guest on and we can do the pillars of weather thing.
Okay, excellent. Hi, welcome to Pillars of Franchising. Today we have with us Tiffany Leyva and Jesse James Leyva. I said it right, right?
Yeah, you did. That was awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you guys here. And you guys are with Outlaw Fitcamp, which, as I mentioned when you first got on, we had so much fun not only learning about your business, but also trying to come up with catchy titles for the show today, because we're like, oh my gosh, all these different plays on the word outlaw. It's got to be so much fun. So tell us, where are you and what's the weather where you're at?
Well, we're currently in Dallas, Texas, North Texas. It's almost 100 degrees, so it's getting hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. We still got a couple more degrees to go before it's very hot, but here we are.
Okay. Good, good. And you guys are actually not in the same location, but very close in proximity, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because Tiffany, you got that cool gym background, and Jesse's somewhere with some really cool Chip and Joanna Gaines background.
I know. Yes, I'm in the headquarters, their office, and she's at the other cool office.
Awesome, awesome. And David, you're with us today. What state are you in?
Yeah, I'm in Ohio. I'm in just outside of Cleveland, mid 70s. Storms have been rolling in and out, so it goes from humid to steamy to wet to humid and steamy, and it doesn't change. So it just keeps rolling in and out. But hey, before that, Fred, I just got to let you know, if you're listening, and I know you are, I was a little nervous because any technical issues that go on, I just assume it's because of me. So I'm glad that you took that. And Chris, and your hat, Chicago Blackhawks, that's it. If you can wear that, I'm breaking out my Chief Wahoo hat.
Oh,
That's
really? Well, you should bring that out. I'd like to see that.
Because they banned Chief Wahoo, but they don't ban Blackhawk. I don't get it.
Well, I just can't imagine being called that other hockey team, like that football team. Yeah. So and it is, unfortunately the Hawks didn't get to go to the Cup this year. And unfortunately my other favorite original six team, the Canadians, didn't win either. So, but I refuse to wear lightning because they weren't part of the original six, and I'm kind of an underdog person that way. So
there you go.
Anyway, so I'm sitting here in Chicago. Normally I am in close proximity with Ray, and we share the same crappy weather. But today it's kind of cloudy here too. It's balmy, it's overcast. And I preferred last night when it dipped down in the low 70s and there was a cool breeze coming in with rain. That was a lot better than what we have right now. But neither here nor there. We're ready to have a great show today and learn all about Outlaw Fitcamp. And I hope you two are ready to tell us your story and all about what you have going on down there.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Fred, do you have anything from Oz that you want to bring up before we get started? That's a no. He only gets a couple of seconds to answer. Fabulous. Okay, so let's learn about you guys. So Tiffany, I was reading your bio before, and before you got into Outlaw Fitcamp, you were doing some stuff in the beauty industry. Tell me a little bit about that, and how did beauty bring you? And we know there's like an inner beauty, outer beauty, the girl beauty, the guy beauty. So tell me how you made that bridge from the industry you were into this.
Yeah, it's quite a switch, wouldn't you say? I started hairdressing at the age of 19 years old. My mom and my aunt were both hairdressers, and so my goal was to open my own salon. And 17 years in the hair industry, I actually opened my salon inside Jesse James Fit, which is one of our locations. And I also taught for a company called Kevin Murphy. So I would teach other salons the brand. I really enjoyed that, had a lot of fun. Working with women, talking with people, it's, just helping build women up. I really enjoyed that. And then once I met Jesse and opened my salon inside Jesse James Fit, I had, as a kid, I was an athlete, but then got into, employment and being an entrepreneur. So I needed to get myself back to health, and I started training with him. And he actually helped me compete, and I took third place in the USA's.
Wow, cool. Okay, so inquiring minds want to know, were you and Jesse together before the salon was in the gym, or was that like the work relationship that formed?
I think it developed after we had a professional relationship when we first met, and then it evolved.
Okay.
We were both going through divorce, and it just ended up working out right. Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you're not at home, the next place that you spend most of your time is at work. And
Yep.
so how handy is that, right? So, well, that's awesome. Good.
Now, if you didn't medal in third place, if you didn't have that success, would your relationship have survived that?
Oh, good question.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
I was so
Well, she
proud
might
of
have
her.
fired you. She might have fired you.
Oh, that was too good. We rocked.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So at what point then did you decide to close the salon and join up and work,
Oh yeah.
start the whole working out thing?
That's
So
me.
yeah, I got involved with doing beauty for the bodybuilding industry. I would actually do hair and makeup for the different shows around the country, and enjoyed doing that. And then at the same time, Jesse kept growing the business. He launched the franchise model in 2013.
Okay.
And then as we grew, I kind of took on a few more roles. And then as of 2020, I completely shut down and was done.
Okay.
I was just done at that point. We have grown to a point where I was needed more to help with the franchise, and honestly got kind of tired doing hair a little bit. I was kind of getting burnt out of that too.
Yeah, it's a little different industry, that one.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably probably a very exciting industry now. But Jesse, one of the things we were talking about before we got started is you didn't start with Outlaw, right? You had done some other stuff before you turned into a franchisor. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. I had a long, fun history. I've been in the fitness industry for about 25 years. I've had 2 large gyms before my model I'm in now in the franchise company. Both of them kind of broke me. My last one was about 45,000 square feet, a large box gym. And that was about 15 years ago, I think, Tiff, 14, 15 years ago. And that one broke me, and talk about perseverance and just pushing through it. I actually lost everything. I lost my home, lost my truck, and lived in my car for about 5 to 6 weeks. Started over again. And I think 7 years later, had one of the first $1 million personal training studios in North America.
Wow.
And just grew it from there, only doing personal training. But I went back to the drawing board. I with a big box gym, I was trying to cater to everybody in a large market with the Lifetimes and LA Fitnesses as my primary competition. And our personal training was off the hook, 30-minute sessions. We're losing hundreds of pounds and just destroying our competition in Dallas. So we, again, that's our studio kept jumping, 150, 200,000 per year.
Wow.
And our studio, my primary one, Jesse James Fitness, is about 8,000 square feet. We kept growing and kept grabbing spaces. And I wanted to duplicate it. I wanted to grow, but I didn't know how to do it. And I didn't want to do something as large as I had with 18 trainers and the office staff. I had to maintain that revenue. Right. So I played with the idea. I liked the idea of group fitness, but I really, as a personal trainer with just my background in biomechanics and training and coaching, I hated, and I strongly use that word, group fitness and where it was going with 30, 40 people in a room and the minimalization of quality over $1. I hated that, and that was pissing me off. So I restructured, rebranded an idea, and came up with group fitness, personal training also, and we came up with the Outlaw concept, and it grew from there. And I'll go into a little more detail on that a little later on, but it just kind of blew up. So I started over again, came up with that little Outlaw concept. It took off really well, and rest
Here
is
we are.
history, I guess.
Yeah. So what year did you decide to become a franchisor?
Was that 18, Tiffany, I believe?
Yeah, so we became a franchise in 18, and we started the concept actually in 14.
Okay.
We modified it some, and we grew. We had 4 locations before we became a franchisor.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I didn't want to keep growing. I mean, it was we had 4 locations, and I loved what I did, but having to be everywhere and being the light bulb changer guy and signing my name on that lease and just trying to grow that way was getting a little, I guess, wearing on me a little bit.
Sure.
But I also loved what I did so much. I wanted to figure out how to share this because people kept asking, when are you going to put one over here? When are you going to put one over here? And I did my homework and tried to meet with some people, and I learned about franchising, and I loved it. And so we started that process, and now we've been very fortunate to bring out some beautiful people, franchisees that are growing the product, that are doing great, and they've really complemented what our vision is, and very fortunate right now.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. I really like the idea that before you decided to pursue being a franchisor, that you had, 4 different places. And, it's really hard. I think people underestimate some of the things that you have to do as a small business. In your case, you're the bulb changer guy. Well, in my case, I'm out jumping cars, right? Changing tires. And I'm like, this isn't even a job I should have to do, right? And there's so many different moving pieces. And so I think it's important for people to understand when you get into small business, whether it's a franchise or not, you really are the jack of all trades for a while, right? And then before you go off and you start franchising, so you had 4, you're really busy, people are trying to pull you in all different directions. What was it like to sign your first franchisee and kind of watch that baby grow, right? It's kind of like a baby.
Well, Jess, real quick, I'll in that time period, we actually were thinking we'd do corporate. And we talked about it, and we were thinking just how neat it would be to have, there were certain people we had in mind that would be phenomenal owners, and to be able to bless them with the concept. So we were really excited to sign our first franchisee. And actually, to date, all of them have been either previous clients of ours. So they really understand the concept.
Wow, that's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah.
David, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to ask David what he finds most interesting, because he's our guy super into fitness and baseball and everything else. Tell me what you think, David.
I was curious, Jesse. I mean, we kind of glossed over it, but I loved, not loved. You're not going to love that you went through that period of time, but you went through it from a 45,000 square foot, big box gym, and that's the one that took you down, right? And then
I did.
And then you came back as a trainer, and then you put together this concept. What square footage is this concept? How have you kind of evolved it to say, okay, this is the one that works now, this is how it fits?
Yeah, what I did is I started over in 1,000 square feet, borrow money from family and friends. Within a year and a half, at least another space, another one. We have a total of 4 spaces now where I'm currently at, and our new headquarters is built now, so we'll be there in about 8 weeks. But we built this bad boy up, and as I decided to grow it, I knew how hard it was to run it. So I kind of played with the idea of 4,000 square feet, 2,500 square feet. When I opened up the first Outlaw, it was 2,600. And as our volume grew, I realized it was a little smaller than I needed. So I grabbed a suite next to us. So right now we're looking at between 32 and 3,500 square feet for the group fitness and the personal training to be encapsulated in both. So you can do a full class of 10 to 12 people, up to 16 in a class. And you can also be personal training a client with either David, like you, say you came in, you want to put another 10 pounds on, you're extremely goal oriented. So we adjust your nutrition. We train you a certain way to build that muscle, depending on your body type, ecto, mesomorph, or endomorph. And we do that. But then we also have clients that can't do the Orange Theories, the F45s, the fit bodies, because they have high blood pressure, knee replacement, bulging disc, and they're borderline diabetic. Or they're diabetic. So that's where you need that personal trainer. And I thought it was beautiful to be able to do that all in the same facility. So if a husband or wife was doing the group fitness, their spouse can get help in the same location. So that was a beautiful caveat that I loved. The other one is probably the most important, and that's trainer turnover in our industry. Group fitness, you can't make a living. As a trainer, you can't make a living. You have to have a primary job or have a spouse that makes your primary source of income. And our trainers are hybrids. They personal train, making great money, and they also teach their classes. So they're making really good money. And one of my top trainers here is at a little over 72,000 a year. And you don't find that in our industry.
Wow.
So, and we also offer health insurance. So I also wanted to develop something that took care of the trainers. So now I keep the same people, and we can have anywhere from 2 to 5 trainers in a location instead of 18 where I'm at now. And your retention is much better. You can have 2 full-time trainers making great money and 2 to 3 part-timers, and you're not having that high frequency of turnover chasing clients and trainers. So a lot of things went into the design of this this brand.
It evolved over time. That's kind of what
Yep.
that's kind of what I was wondering about,
Yeah.
because of your background, and then all of a sudden you came in and kind of blended everything together, and over time now you've got a well-oiled model that's working well, right? I mean, that's really the idea behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's really good too, because a lot of people want to jump in and become a franchisor right away. And it's through all the hard lessons that you learned that you discover
Oh,
it's not a one size fits all, and things have to be honed before you actually roll it out and have people invest, all of their
Absolutely.
future in it. So that's awesome. Now tell me a little bit about, you talked about nutrition. Do you have nutritionists on staff, or your trainers are all trained in nutrition?
no, what we do is we brought on fuel plans that are based on heights and genders, keeping it very broad, but focused on weight loss and putting on lean muscle mass. What we push our franchisees to do, what we do here in Dallas, is we work with registered dietitians and nutritionists in this area. So when we have people with celiac disease, diabetics, people that have more extreme issues, or even down to kids, we outsource and we network with somebody like that. And then what's the beauty of that? They send their customers to us. So it's
That's
a beautiful
awesome.
piggyback, and it keeps us out of that liability issue of playing with that nutritional aspect. But we do have weight loss fuel plans that help people understand just measurements, going to Chick-fil-A and different restaurants, and how to eat to keep weight loss or weight off and keep that body fat off, and just understand how to keep this up as a lifestyle versus fad diets and that constant revolving cycle people do.
I think that's awesome. So tell us, if now that you guys are franchisors, if you had to kind of describe in your own words, what would your ideal candidate be? Because it sounds like a lot of your gym owners, are all of them or just most of them, were clients of yours, right?
Yeah, they were, and they've been great so far.
Yeah, we have a really wide broad of franchisees, and it's really awesome for us as new franchisors to have such a wide range. So you don't have to be a certified personal trainer to own an Outlaw Fit Camp. So that's definitely not necessary. However, you do have to have a passion for fitness and helping people and leading people. Not shy to put yourself out there, because it is a people business. It's very much relationship built. We do offer semi-absentee or owner operator, and we have a mix. We have an owner operator personal trainers, our McKinney location and our Little Elm location. We have a scientist and an engineer who have operation managers. So we help them along with either situation. It's really cool to see how they're working that out.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We have to go to a quick commercial so we can pay the bills. But when we come back, I'd like to kind of understand a little more about what are some of the great things that you do as a franchisor for those who want to invest in your brand as franchisees. What do you provide to them? What are you looking for them in terms of investment? So we'll go ahead and let Fred pay the bills by taking us to commercial, and we'll answer those questions when we come back.
Thank you.
Unless I caught Fred asleep. Fred. Okay, we're going to skip commercial for now until Fred returns. Perhaps we caught him off guard. So let's talk about, what is it? Tell me a little bit about, as franchisors, what do you do? What does your package, so to speak, look like when somebody invests in the Outlaw Fitcamp brand?
Tiff, do you mind if I'll start this and I'll hand it off to you?
Sure.
You might like this and love this. You might say we're crazy.
We're all crazy.
We're all crazy if you do this. Being again new to franchising in this, and as a franchisor in this business, what we did run into was just the transitional aspect of franchisees going from corporate world or working for somebody to now being a leader and a franchise or a franchisee, and understanding that relationship with us as a franchisor, them as a franchisee, what they should do, and also the employment round. So that was our hardest hurdle, was working with people and leading them. So I pay for leadership courses. Well, I have coaches for all my team leads, $600 a month. I use, I think, Southwestern Consulting, and it's been the best investment I've ever done. So we worked out a great deal with them where our new franchisees, when they buy in, they get 3 months of transitional coaching from just understanding the role of franchisor or franchisee, leadership, how to transition into owning a
Wow.
business. And then they get a great discount moving forward on that 1-year contract. They only have a 9-month contract after that. But we wanted to give them that extra little piece that we had the hardest time working with them on, was just transitioning from, I get a paycheck every Friday, every 2 weeks. Now you got to create your paycheck.
Yeah.
And now you don't just invest and it's successful. There's a lot of sacrifice, commitment, timing, structure, and leadership and communication involved in running a business. And a lot of them don't have that, and it takes a while to learn.
Yeah.
So, and it was tough coming from mom and dad in a sense, using that loosely, but it's different when it comes from a coach, and the value, I think, exponentially jumps up. So we brought that into our franchise model, and as of 2020, and we're excited about that.
I think that's awesome. I know David loves that too, because he's a
coaching
leadership guy too.
Love it.
And today, especially when we have so many people leaving corporate America, I'm so glad that you brought up that point, because I do think that's a big issue, and it's very different. I know for me, my first thing was like, oh my gosh, now I'm running my own P&L. It's not someone else's money. This is my money.
Yes.
And it's really sometimes challenging to be able to make good decisions and to understand that you have to spend money to make money, and where you should spend that money and where you shouldn't, and how you represent now really your livelihood, not just a company title or a corporation. So I think that's really interesting. And that's one thing that we've talked about, I think, David, before, for a lot of small business people. Once you go into business for yourself, we forget to invest back in ourselves.
Absolutely.
Or if you work in a corporate job, right, once a year, you got to go off to training here or there, or there's some, HR training this month or some operational training next month. But once you're out on your own, you're really on your own. So I think that's very unique. I've not heard of that before. I think that's an awesome idea.
Yeah, it's such a switch from corporate to being an entrepreneur, especially with the different personality types, and want to give them the foundation, because there's so much more to learn after that, like the marketing and all of that. So we do support them with marketing and the grand opening. The franchise lays out all the campaigns for them and walks them through that process, makes it very, very simple. One thing that we're rolling out this year we're excited about is Outlaw Fitcamp has its own certification course. So each franchisee will have a head trainer, which is nice for those of the franchisees who are not certified personal trainers. We'll always encourage someone to get their certification, just so that they should know it and understand the brand. But if they don't want to and they want to lead, we do have a course for head trainers to take. They'll have continuing education, reviews. They have all the master trainers at our headquarters to ask any kind of questions. And then the workouts are pre-built for them. So lots of training and support they'll have access to.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, that's really how you continue to improve upon the brand, right? Is keeping everybody sharp and continually trained.
Absolutely. And our back-end infrastructure is awesome. Tiffany works with our team, and our back-end website for the franchise is incredible, from buying retail to watching videos to pulling up the manual on there. We pulled in one of the best in the business, helping us design our operations manual kit. And he was a blast and crazy as hell. A lot of fun, Fran Man. And then we brought on, Intercolor Law as our franchise attorney. So doing this, we didn't want to do it half-ass, excuse my language. Yep. I have people investing in our brand. I have friends and people that believe in us. And last thing they needed to do was invest in something that didn't have things together, legal-wise, operations manual-wise. So we went above and beyond. And through COVID, we really spent even more money, even though we were taking a big punch in the face.
Sure.
We still spent, and we just kept adding more value to our brand. So
that's awesome.
This is really, really impressive. And now I have to change my standard language when I speak about franchisors, because I always say franchisors teach systems and processes and procedures, and they don't ever teach the soft skills that people need. And you guys jumped right into it and jumped into my area of coaching people and leadership and everything else. And that is so important. The other thing that's really important, and I have to ask you, somebody once told me a long time ago, nothing happens unless and until something is sold. So one of the biggest things, obviously, the franchisee cannot have any success unless they have sales coming in the door. Do you have a sales system that has been refined over the years that allows them to be successful?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'll touch on that. Our software is incredible, and we've really improved. Last year, we did a lot of improvement and growth. We brought on an awesome CRM system that talks to our other system for booking and stuff like that. So that's already preset. As soon as a franchisee comes on, that's given to them. We have to teach them and walk them through. What's nice is we also get the support from those companies to help train. And then as far as the sales process goes, when a franchisee comes on board, they'll have a head manager that will also get trained through the sales process. And our corporate office looks at everybody's, numbers, making sure they're on target.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, Fred, I know you want to pay the bills. And when we come back, I want to talk a little bit further about that, because I think it's really interesting, the amount of time and effort. And to David's point, I mean, you guys really seem to be putting a lot in up front that a lot of franchisors don't. So hats off to you. And we'll be right back as soon as Fred pays the bills.
Thank you.
Hey, franchise owners, how's your local marketing? Do you feel like you could use some help keeping up with your social media posts and comments and reviews? Do you wonder if you could be doing more to attract local customers? Are you able to identify new move-ins to your local area? At Westvyne, we help franchisees like you reach more local customers through digital marketing. With daily monitoring, creative content, and ad placement, and customer data intelligence, we'll get your business in front of the people who want your products or services. We also work with franchisors who need an agency to handle the digital marketing for all of their locations. If you're ready to reach more local customers, give us a call at 805-265-5440 or visit us at westvyne.com. That's 805-265-5440 or westvyne.com.
Yay, we're back. Okay, so I'm super excited about this. Now, what I want to know from you guys is, right now you have how many locations?
7.
7. And where do you see that number going in the next 2 to 5 years? What's your plan? What's your goal?
I'd like to be in the double zeros after that. I'd like to be in the 100 area. I mean, that's our overall goal, is to grow this thing exponentially throughout the United States. So we're excited about that. We wanted to fine tune everything in 2020, going into 2021 really strong. People are getting more comfortable going back to fitness. During COVID, I will mention this, the background Tiffany has, COVID was one of the best things that happened to us. I mean, it almost shut us down. We got through it, but I actually redeveloped and restructured our whole group fitness model. And the story behind that's kind of fun. I didn't want to open us up just cutting back classes. And with everybody in cross-contaminating, everybody so freaked out about COVID, it forced us to redesign. So I went to my little Elm location that I owned, and we tore it all up, redesigned everything, painter's tape, laid everything out. And actually we developed something that hasn't been done in group fitness, and it's what's in the background. We call them jail cells, and they're 7 foot by 11 foot. And you have a row of 5 or 6 of those. And then on the opposing side is another row of 5 or 6. And you have cable pulleys, kettlebells, dumbbells, battle ropes. So you have multiple modalities and tools in those jail cells. Each one's named either an outlaw name of a city, Tombstone, Deadwood, and then the city location name, Fort Worth, stuff like that. The other side is named outlaw names, Jesse James, Wyatt Earp, things of that nature. So we branded it really well, laid it out in the background beautifully. And now what it does, it gives David, Jerry, and everybody here can have their own cell. You're not cross-contaminating. You're not having to readjust the weight and the height of your suspension cables and all that stuff. It is set up for you for 15 minutes with your workout. And once you're done, you spray it down, put everything back, switch sides, 3, 2, 1, you train again after they demo the movements. You have one instructor focusing on quality, movement, and coaching you. And it was something that was unheard of in group fitness. We all did the same thing, and it was go in a circle, cross-contaminate, and chase down each other. You have monitors on the wall. Well, I hated, there's no mirrors in Outlaw. I don't want people focusing on how out of shape they look, and all that does is destroy people. So there's no mirrors. Focus on being a better version of you. There's no heart rate monitor on, and monitors everywhere showing you who's in competition with you. No, focus on being a better version of you when you walked in the door. I don't care about if David's burning more calories than me in a class. So we developed something that was not out there. And I went back to my fear of owning a box gym and the nightmare of having to deal with all my cardio equipment, replacing it, spending $40,000, $60,000, $80,000, only 5 to 8 years later having to replace it all because it's obsolete or old. And then you have the maintenance. So with Outlaw, nothing is plugged in other than your AC, your sound system, your lighting. That is it.
Awesome.
Everything is self-powered, rowing machines, Aerodynes, and it's not CrossFit. There's no explosive jerking movements. It's all isolated, slow movements because our clientele is 40 and up. Our oldest is, I think, 84 at our Plano location, down to 11 years old at our Flower Mound location.
That's cool.
Something just different that we didn't have in fitness that I didn't see as a trainer. So.
Yeah, it's very interesting because I was with all my girlfriends over the weekend and a couple of them were laughing and joking about their workout, and I won't name which franchise they went to, but they were talking about who was faster and who was burning more calories because just as you described these screens, and they've been trying to get me to go. And aside from me just being lazy, as soon as they said that you could see everybody's screens and how much they were burning, I'm like, oh, hell no. As competitive as I am, I don't need anybody to see that.
I just mentioned that my background was bodybuilding, bikini coaching. I coached all athletes in bodybuilding and in that nature, physique competitors, from big to small. And that was my nature and what made us a large studio in Dallas. Then I fell in love with weight loss. My sister, my mom's been overweight. They've all been overweight. My whole family's Native American and my mom's white. My Native American side's all overweight. My sister lost 100 pounds, kept it off for 6 years. My mom moved here from California at 60 something. She's 68 now. She's down, I think, 50 pounds off our medications and in shape. And we have a trainer that lost 350 pounds at my Flower Mound location. I fell in love with the journey of weight loss. So that's what we slowly started changing our brand into, was not about just the hard bodies, but I want a place for anybody to come into and develop a relationship with themselves, but also everybody else. Our personal training, we don't charge extra for a spouse. So it's now you and your husband can come in there and build a beautiful relationship, learn about yourself, lose weight, change how you guys eat in your house, and that transcends down to your kids. So
that's awesome. So tell me, right now, are you just in Texas right now where you can kind of?
Yeah, we are currently in Texas. We do have a franchisee that he's going to open 10. So
nice.
We've got more growth there and we're ready to grow. At the moment, no registered states, but we're ready and we're getting hits and working some leads. So
Colorado, some different states right now.
Yeah.
Good. Well, you better get Illinois registered because I'm loving this idea. It's really cool. It's really cool. David, do you have something?
I got a question for you though. One of the biggest issues or trouble spots for gyms is retention. Mm-hmm. So obviously, as they're engaged and they're seeing progress, they're gonna remain. What's your biggest obstacle? Is it retention? Is it keeping people engaged and encouraged until they hit their goals? Can you retain them after they've hit goals? What process do you have in those?
Yeah. Oh, real quick, Jess, I'll let you chime in, but our tagline is find your fit. Because what we saw before the Outlaw concept, Jesse was really good with personal training and he really understands. And so does our partner, Kay. She's been with them 15 years. Like they really have it down. There's a lot more psychological to it than physical as well.
Absolutely.
Right?
Totally.
So we understand the needs. And what we were seeing trending back then was a lot of group fitness, but there was a lot of missing pieces. Not only for clients, but then trainers too. Like Jesse said, you're going to have a lot of trainers that are going to not be able to have a full-time job. They have to work 2 jobs. Or what happens if you get tired of doing the same kind of concept over and over again, and you maybe you lost your weight. What happens next? So that's why we developed Outlaws. Maybe we get people in the fit camp, they start doing more than they expected. Then what's next for them? We can take them on one-on-one and help them with those goals more personalized.
And David, to touch base on that, what we designed with Outlaw and what you see in the background with Tiffany, that's just one side of the dual cells, was a system that enables you. It's much more anaerobic training wise than it is aerobic. Like a lot of our competition is basically aerobic. depending on how heavy you can go, but you're stuck at certain weights for group fitness. Not ours. You can go pretty heavy. The cable pulleys go up to 195, and then we have usually 1 to 2 heavier cells. Those go up to 250 pounds. So you can have like Little Elm has SWAT team guys and firefighters, or McKinney has NFL athletes. So you can have a caveat of different size men down to my 68-year-old mom with a knee replacement, kicking butt in the same class. And then we have an upgrade rack. So if what we have in this cell for your dumbbells that cap out at 30s, you want to go heavier for floor dumbbells or a row, you can go to the upgrade rack and grab heavier kettlebell, dumbbell, wall balls, medicine balls, and go heavier for your next round. So David, if you want to put on muscle, you can continually push yourself and you're not just spinning your wheels. If you want weight loss, you keep it down. If you got joint issues, don't go as heavy. But then we have the personal training, and that helps you also hit different goals, because we do measurements once a week, we do goal setting, and that's a whole different thing that was missing in group fitness. And that's what rolls into our hybrid membership, which is UltraFit. Gives you group fitness and one personal training session a week or a month. So now you have that coach leading you and helping you hit your goals, which jumped up our retention expensially. I mean,
that's fantastic. And you had mentioned psychological, and that's near and dear to my heart. And the reason is because I believe to get best performance out of any human being is you have to be able to dig into the subconscious workings of the mind, and make the unconscious conscious, and raise their awareness. And if you're skilled in doing that, then that helps your retention, but it also helps the results of the people. And it sounds like you guys have that pretty locked in.
Well, we also minimize our classes. We don't want big classes. Now, we're not cheap. We're more I'm going to call us the Mercedes-Benz or the BMW of fitness. I don't want to be the cheapest guy on the block. That's not my brand. That's not our brand. Our Outlaw is, you're going to have 10 people to 12 people, up to 16, depending on the size of your location, in your cells. And what you get with that is better culture. You don't get forgotten about in a group of 30 or 40. You have that one-on-one attention. Our instructors will know your name. But then we also go to the extra mile working with our instructors, talking and training them to understand that they are bigger than just an order taker or a trainer. What you say, the content you deliver every morning determines the outcome of those people's thoughts the rest of the day. So understand what you say. How do you want those people to perceive you as a leader? So our trainers we really push the psychological aspect of, you have a reason why you're hired by us, and it's to change lives. And it's what you say and do that's going to have a profound effect on our customers and your customers. And then we also bonus them if they get a wait list on a class. They get an extra $10 bonus on that class, which pushes them to give better service. So we do different things like that to keep them engaged with our clientele.
That's awesome. So I'm sure there are a lot of listeners out there right now, like me, who I'm like, oh my gosh, how long till you come to this area, right? Not only because I think it'd be super fun, but there's also a good deal of people out there listening going, wow, this is really a concept I can get behind. Maybe this is what they've always been looking for, and they're really into fitness right now. What are you looking for from your franchisees in terms of franchise fees and what they need to have to come to the table?
Initial franchise fees, $49.9. We do veteran discounts, but we also added for 2020 first responder discounts as well at the same rate as the vet, because our police and our firefighters, they're putting their lives in the line, and they're also retiring and wanting a different thing to roll into. And sometimes those are ideal candidates that don't know that this would be an ideal brand. They're in the service world to protect and serve. That's what we do. We save lives and we change lives. So we decided that'd be a beautiful transition point for them. So we started that this year. We look for candidates with $150,000 net worth, liquid, and then our opening fees are between $259 and $480, depending on obviously TI and are you paying for the equipment, cash up front, stuff like that.
Yep.
Our royalties, we did something different as well with our brand, and David, you'll probably understand this. It's really easy for a trainer, operator, owner to take money and not put it in the books, and I've dealt with that in this business. At a fire, a near dear person to my heart because he was stealing a large amount of money. They can have somebody say, if I have a franchisee in Austin, I go to visit and I pull up, hey, David, I meet you at a 1-year anniversary, and you've been training them for 3 to 6 months. I'm going to go to my phone, look at Dave. Oh, David's not in the system. That's weird. Man, all right, you've been here three months. You haven't been paying. Next thing you know, we have an issue with the franchisee. We have to do an audit. I didn't want that kind of nightmare or that relationship as we grow our brand. So what we did is we did flat adjustable rates. And again, this could be our naiveness or us wanting to invest in a franchisee, but our first 3 months are waived of royalties. I want you to grow. I want you to spend and advertise, build your revenue up. Then we go to a flat rate of $7.99 up to 12 months. Then it goes to $11.99 from 13 to 24 months. And then it caps at 25 month 25 at $13.99 a month. That way,
wow.
I don't want my hands in your pocket, but I want you making a lot of money. So you'll buy a second franchise from me and a third, which makes it easier for us to open. So our goal was to have 100 franchisees or 100 franchises, but maybe 10 to 15 franchisees.
Yeah.
Right.
Versus,
Also on that note too, is the nice thing as us being new, emerging franchise, we've got territory open. So we're definitely looking for multi-units or area developers. Yeah.
That's great. And do you kind of have that defined as to what you're looking for specifically as more strategic?
Yeah, 3 to 4 units. It's 42.5, 5 plus units, 39. So we discount as they buy, and then obviously if they're first responders or a veteran discount, the discounts kick in after that.
Awesome. Well, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah, flat fee royalty fees are outstanding perk to a franchisee.
Do you like that?
I really do.
Yep.
It allows their hard work and time in the system allows them to profit and have more drop to the bottom line. I think if your cost structure as a corporate entity is strong enough doing that, then that's a huge benefit to a franchisee. The concern is, the chain's only as strong as the franchisor, quite frankly. So as long as those fees can allow you to operate at the level and the service level that you guys obviously are geared to giving, as long as that allows you to do that, then that's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, and we did that, and my goal is to look at it after 2 to 3 years, and if I need to readjust those for moving forward, we will. But right now, we felt really comfortable with that. We have a great operation, a great team on the back end that helps run these franchisees and manage and lead them. Our mentoring and our coachings and so far have been great. But then you also have the retail. If our hands are out of their pockets less, but helping them grow and their volume's there, they're going to buy more shirts, more cups, more gloves, more hats. So we make money on the back end with that. And then also their training, their coaching, mentoring, going to a site, helping them. Hopefully they'll spend more money on their mentoring and their leadership programs.
I think it's outstanding. I think you're on the right track. I think it's great.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see where you guys are. I'd love to have you back in maybe a year or so and see okay, what's happened now, maybe sooner than that. Certainly as you start to open more and more locations, I think it's certainly you two have that your heart's in the right place, your brains are in the right place in terms of, coming up with some of these different concepts and ideas that a lot of other franchisors don't do. So hats off to you. I'm super excited for you.
Thank you so much.
Love it.
And we would love to have you on again. Just so our listeners know, what's the best way to get in touch with you folks?
For the franchise opportunity, you can go to ofcfranchise.com. That's ofcfranchise.com. And to learn about the brand, you can go to outlawfitcamp.com and just fill out the contact form there, and we will see your email and inquiry.
There's a neat thing too that we offer to people, and we did this through COVID, but we have our other website. It's called outlawfitcamp.com. And what we did is we wanted to help our members with family in other states, California, New York, East Coast, lose weight and do what they're doing and enjoy what they're doing. So we have that website. It has a challenge on there, but it also has our meal plans on there and our fuel plans for free. And the goal was just helping people all across the country for free, nothing in return. Maybe someday we'll get a franchise in a location, but the goal is, throwing information and help out for free and in hopes we get something great in return. So
that's awesome. That's great. It's such a pleasure to have you both on the show, and I wish you all the best. Again, we hope to have you on again in the very near future, and we certainly look forward to seeing all the exciting growth that you have. And keep us in mind as you get registered in other states and you're ready to start growing, because we'd love to talk to you guys again when we have people say, hey, we're looking to buy a gym. What do you think? We'd love to be able to make that connection for you.
Awesome.
Thank you so
guys
much.
so much.
Yeah, and we'll have all
you.
your contact information on Pillars of Franchising website, all your social media links and things of that nature, so people can look there at Pillars of Franchising if you did not catch Tiffany's site to visit her on. And I happen to also find you on Outlaw Fitcamp on LinkedIn.
Oh, yeah.
So you have a nice write-up on there too. So thank you both very much. We hope you have a great day, and we'll look forward to talking to you again on Pillars of Franchising very soon.
Fantastic.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
The Franchise Woman is a bi-monthly digital magazine that empowers women as they navigate the franchising industry by providing relevant news, tools, advice, and inspiration. We are a resource for women who are seeking to own their own businesses, improve their existing businesses, find creative solutions, and take advantage of franchise opportunities. We feature women in the business who best exemplify our ideals and have something to teach our readers. In addition to our exclusive articles relating to the female entrepreneur, we also feature brands that are geared for women. Women have become the fastest growing sector in business ownership and have become a powerful, influenceable force fueling the economy. The Franchise Woman will give you the news that is relevant to you to help you navigate the path of successful franchise ownership. By women, for women, and about women. We are the Franchise Woman. Join us today at www.thefranchisewoman.com.
Thank you, Elizabeth Denham Green. I love her. She's such a sweet lady who's taking care of us with all that great franchising information for women. And now, David, what did you think about that?
Wow. Was that great or what? I tell you what, the first tenet of success is to add value to others. And I think that's pretty much what they spoke about the entire time.
Yeah.
I mean, was, how do we help our members? How do we help our franchisees? How do we help? How do we help? How do we help? It's so refreshing, even to the point, as I said, even the flat franchise, a flat royalty fee to say, there was an ulterior motive and make sure that everything was on the up and up, but
sure.
That's a huge benefit to say, hey, we don't want them to worry about that. We want them to make a lot of money. Go ahead and do it. Pay us for what we need to do to keep our corporate entity running, and go make what you can make. The whole thing was so genuine and heartfelt. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, I have to think about all of Red Boswell's mistakes that franchisors make, and I was thinking, geez, I'm not so sure that I saw any mistakes that they were making. I mean, at least on the surface. So I'm really excited. I think they're really on the right track to something fantastic. So
blown away by the access to the soft skill training and the leadership and those types of things that they provide. That used to be one of my biggest selling points. Franchisors don't provide this. Let me help you with it.
Yep.
And they're like, you know what? We're going straight to it right from the beginning. That's fantastic.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. So what do you have to share with us today?
Well, I tell you what, I was thinking about this, and I think it's just the habits of success, and there's a couple things I want the listeners out there to think about. Is if you're in this situation where I was when I was thinking about opening up business, as I was a young boy, adolescent, growing up, and a young man, I guess I used to always think business owners were like the top of the success pyramid. Oh my gosh, they must be so smart. They have so much money, so many skills. How do you own a business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I used to be so intimidated and in awe of that. And then I got my corporate job. And one of my jobs was to go and meet with owners of a bunch of car dealerships. And that made me realize, hey man, there's a bunch of regular people that are just owning businesses. I can do this.
That's right.
All of a sudden it took away that mystique of, wow, they're on some kind of pedestal. They know something I don't. But that they didn't have that superpower. And so that's the first thing I realized was it's just ordinary people. So now you'd go to the next question. Well, if it's just ordinary people, if they're just average people, they own this business, how did they get there? Well, we're car dealerships. Car dealerships, truthfully, are franchises.
Mm-hmm.
So that got the ball rolling in my mind is, okay, that shortens the learning curve. So so now you've got these car dealers with $1 million inventories, this, that, and I've got this owner. Yeah, they're successful, but I don't see anything earth shattering from his skill set. So what's the secret? Okay, they're selling a known product. They're selling a product, that was already developed by somebody else, and they're operating a system. So So that was the first, kind of foray into my mind to say, I want to look into franchising. Well, I do this on my own. I've got these guys that don't seem to be much greater, than I, much smarter, have these special skills, but they're very successful.
Right.
So basically then I went, okay, now out of those, how do certain people get to be more successful than others? And there's a quote, I'm sure everybody's heard it, but I tell you what, it's the truth. And whether or not you're a franchisee and you're more successful within a certain franchise group or in general in life, the only difference between successful people and people who aren't as successful is that basically successful people do the stuff every day that unsuccessful people don't want to do.
Very good point.
I don't care if it's weight loss. I don't care if it's, fitness. I don't care what it is. I mean, successful people are going to be the ones that are doing the stuff that other people don't want to do, because let's face it, it. We've talked about this in the past. Every day in our job, there's stuff that we don't want to do.
Oh yeah, totally.
Right?
Totally. I had a day full of stuff I didn't want to do today.
That's right. But you did. The people
yes, I
did. They're not going to show up at the gym tomorrow, right? If they, that's what people are going to do. So the successful people will do the mundane tasks that the unsuccessful people don't want to do. That's really the only difference. I swear that I look at people and they say, boy, I'd like to be where you are. And my question is always, are you willing to do the things that I've done?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm no different than you. I just
That's right.
do them. That's all.
Well, yeah. And again, I keep beating this drum, but go back to all these folks who want to get out of corporate America right now. And it's not even really just corporate America. It's people who maybe they worked, in a retail environment or something. And they're like, I'm really just done working for the man and I want to do my own thing. And we had a co-op meeting here today. And one of the questions that it kind of set my hair on fire at first, because sometimes I get really passionate, in case you didn't notice, right? And it had to do with the question was to introduce yourself to our new president and tell us if you came out of blue collar or white collar. And I said, well, what the hell difference does that make? Why do you want to know that? And the president didn't want to know that. The person hosting the meeting had said, well, you need to tell her, this, and whether it's blue collar or white collar. And I said, well, I think this is the stupidest question I've ever been asked, because it doesn't matter where you came from. And I get she had a different perspective of it. And my point is, when you join a franchise system, you don't have to be the smartest guy in the room. You don't have to be the richest girl in the room, right? It doesn't matter whether you came from a blue collar background, a white collar background, born with a silver spoon in your mouth or a plastic spoon in your mouth. It all has to do with the perseverance, the tenacity, how much you want something. The systems are there, right? That's what we talk about. The beauty of franchising is there, but you have to be willing to go out and get it. And I think people have to really realize that there are great avenues for you to become that business owner, right? That you looked at as a little kid and were in awe of. But there are just a lot of people who talk about it, but they don't do anything about it.
Totally agree. And I think it really, and then beyond that, I think people hold themselves back for a lot of reasons. That's a whole topic for a bunch of different shows, but
right.
It really comes down to success habits. One of the things I always hear people, no matter what, and even without franchising, whatever it is, I laugh all the time. The biggest excuse everyone loves to throw out right away is I don't have enough time. And I'll tell you why. Everybody has enough time to do anything they ever want. It's just, do they prioritize? And here's what I mean by that. If you're going on vacation next week and you had to get a whole bunch of stuff this week, are you going to get it done?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because
that's why I look like this, because I'm going.
You have a deadline. So everyone has enough time, right? It's do they have the motivation to use it, and do they have the proper skill set? So most people I always use are busy being busy. They're not productive. They're just busy being busy. So again, another success habit is to stop doing the things that you shouldn't be doing. In other words, you should only do the stuff that only you are capable of doing. Everything else you should start to try to delegate or move on. So a great tip for business owners, they get overwhelmed. Well, if it's below your pay grade, I mean that sincerely. I mean, if you put a value on your time, and whatever the task is, stocking shelves, if someone else making a lesser wage can do that, then you need to pass that on. Don't just get busy by doing all the busy work and say, I don't have time. And get the priorities done. The most successful people are going to complete their biggest priority first part of the day and leave the rest of the day to say, bring it on.
I think that's a great point.
Everybody used to ask me, how do you get so much time? So I used to get up early and I made sure I got the first thing done before my day started, because then I called myself bulletproof. Bring it on. I can still get stuff done, but I'm not going. And if my day gets tripped up, my most important task got done. So that's what I was saying by successful people, success habits. There's a lot more to it. But the point being is that's really the only difference between those who are successful and those who aren't, is the successful people are going to do the stuff that unsuccessful people won't do. Simple.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, David. It's always so nice to have you and to talk through all this great stuff with us. And I could see your face lighting up as Outlaws started talking about all their leadership stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, they're actually giving back to the people. This is wonderful. So
Fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
And now I understand that we have Jerry in the house.
Woo!
There he is. Whoop, whoop.
Kristin, how are you?
I'm good, Jerry. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. And I just thank you guys every day that I get to follow David, because the things we talk about just merge so well. And I get a little, I get a little pump of adrenaline every time I hear him talk about, his leadership stuff and all those kinds of things. So it's pretty cool.
Good. We're glad to hear that. Always got some good stuff too. And I know you've been super busy.
Oh my gosh, you don't want to know all the things I'm involved in. We talked just a bit ago. David was talking about, doing the toughest thing first. The book Eat That Frog is one of my favorites to use for training leaders, because it teaches you, do the thing you hate the most first and get it out of the way, because the rest of the day will be so great. I'm juggling a lot of things with 2 or 3 different businesses, and real estate and acquisition we're working on right now, and some things like that. So lots of things, but it really leads into what I want to talk about. We had these great speakers on from, I want to get the name right, Outlaw Fitcamp.
Yep, that's right.
Wonderful people. Jesse and Tiffany, wonderful people. They've got a great program. I agree with David. I love the way that they've got it structured. And, that fits with what I want to talk about, which is the fact, and David touched on a little bit too, you only have so much time and you've got to be productive with it. And when you are a new franchisee, or even an older franchisee for that matter, an experienced one, you have got to do the things nobody else wants to do. So being fit, taking care of yourself, getting enough sleep, all those kinds of things are critical, so that your mind is active and aware the next day. You can make great decisions. And then you can also, you'd be more engaged in your business. I remember at one time when we were building a bunch of our different locations, I learned to be a general contractor. It saved a lot of money.
Yep.
I had some contracting in my background, so it was a pretty easy transition. But the fact is, we saved, $40,000, $50,000 per build out, because I was the general contractor, and we did some of the tasks inside the 4 walls that we could have hired done, but it was basically free if we did it.
Right.
So I would suggest to people getting into franchising, anytime you build out a location, especially retail locations, there's going to be a lot of cost involved in that.
Yes.
If you have the wherewithal and the time and want the desire, there's a lot of ways to structure that. But you've got to be fit and have your energy level high and be ready to work. So things that we did, for instance, we did all the painting inside the 4 walls. We did all the cleaning inside the 4 walls. We hung all the equipment inside the 4 walls. We did all of those things and just literally cut $30,000 to $50,000 out of every build out.
Right.
So when we're talking about new franchisees, the amount of money you've got available to you is critical to finding success, because you're going to need cash flow money.
Right.
And if you are spending too much on your build outs, you may not have enough cash flow money. So anything you can save on those build outs, not by cutting corners, not by doing it the cheap way, but by finding things that you can do yourself, that's going to be money that goes back into your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the only way you do that is if you have a great plan. You do things you don't like to do. There are things inside our 4 walls that I despise doing, but I do it because it saves me a lot of money. It's pretty simple. David described me. He talked about, franchisees not being the smartest or having the most money or being the best looking or any of those kinds of things. That's me in a nutshell. I don't have any of those things, but I do work hard at everything that I do. So anyhow, my little tidbit for the day is that franchisees need to understand, you may think you're buying a business in a box when you buy a franchise, but it's not. And no matter which franchise system you go with, if you look around, you will find the most successful franchisees in that system are very engaged. They work hard. They generally get up early and put in the extra time, and they always do things nobody else is willing to do.
Yep.
I remember coaching a couple franchisees, and they wanted to know how we did so well in building our salons to the levels that we did. And so much of that was through guerrilla marketing. And many of them, when they heard me describe the things that we did in guerrilla marketing, their answer was, I can't work that hard. I can't do those things.
Oh,
and
okay.
My answer to them, because I'm who I am, is then just keep sucking.
Yeah.
Because you're never going to find your level of success if you're not willing to do the things other people don't want to do.
Well, and I think sometimes, to your exact point, people underestimate, you think you're going to buy a franchise and it's, like you said, kind of turnkey. And there's plenty of work to be done. And then you have people who say, well, I'm going to buy a franchise, but I still want to put my mark on it. Listen, there's plenty of ways to do that. But just make sure that you don't do that in the wrong places, right?
Well, and that's a great point, Kristin, because so many people who buy a franchise system fail because they don't use the franchise system. They want to recreate it after they've purchased it.
Yep.
And the fact is, you're buying a system that's got many years of experience, probably a lot of research, and certainly tried and true in the field, experimenting and testing that makes that work. If you buy it and then recreate it, you might as well just open your own business, because that's what you're going to end up with.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really great point, Jerry. Very good point. You have anything else for us today? Not that I expect you to have a whole ton more, because you're just staying super busy. And I could tell from your text and that you're wearing your company shirt today that you've been putting your money where your mouth is. Putting your boots on the ground, so to speak, huh?
Boots on the ground. When you start getting multiple locations and different brands involved and things like that, there's a lot of, and this comes back to the point of staying in condition and getting sleep and those kinds of things. So my days recently have been, I call it firefighter mode, because I'll be dealing with emails and phone calls related to the acquisition we're doing, working with accountants and attorneys and doing the negotiating between the two parties, because that's my gig. That's what I do. And so I've been doing that. In the meantime, for my other business, I'll be getting calls about new real estate we're doing, working with construction companies for build outs going on in another part of it. It's been a juggling act the last probably week or so. So yeah, a lot of things going on, but you know what? The things that I do in my real job are great things to talk about here.
Yep.
Because I'm hoping many of the people listening who maybe already own a franchise, maybe have the desire to grow within that franchise system, or maybe add another franchise in next to it. And, we've done that. So the opportunities to talk to people about the things we've done, boots on the ground, from the ground up, will save them a lot of time and money and effort, because we've already done it. So, this will kind of tag team into our coaching thing with franchisees, right?
Yep, absolutely.
We've already done it, whether it's you, me, David, or anybody else on here, we've already done it. We can save you a lot of headaches by just working with us. So right now, dealing with attorneys and accountants and negotiating deals and trying to build real estate and find real estate and all that, that's all going on overlaid right now in my world. So
it's just another day at the office.
Just another day at the office. So, and you can tell I hate what I do.
That's why you never want to talk about it. Well, I think I can speak on behalf of everybody here. I really appreciate, again, all the time and commitment that you and, of course, Dave, that you give to the show. And I want to say thank you both. I hope you have a great week. We look forward to another exciting show next week. Again, on Pillars of Franchising, you could visit the website and watch a restream of the show and hear my dogs barking again. Sorry about that. And we'd like to welcome you all. If any of you out there are looking to get some advice on buying a franchise, looking for franchise mentorship, please check us out again at PaloozaFranchising.com. And until then, we'll see you next week.